Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kelly. I would love it if you stick around and become a part of the fam. But for today's video, I'm going to be doing my June reading wrap up. I ended up reading 7 books this month, which I feel like isn't a lot for me. I've had a pretty hectic month, to say the least. So I'm just gonna tell a little story. So I have 2 cats. One is named Mickey and one is named Oliver. They are not from the same litter. So I ended up getting Mickey, I want to say in 2017 or 2018, I think. And so we had him for a couple years, and then one of my coworkers at an old job that I used to work at said that his friend had a litter of kittens, and he asked me if I was interested in one. And ignore my eyes, I feel like my makeup looks off today. I don't know what it is, but just ignore it. We're rolling with what we have here. Anyways, so one of my coworkers tells me that there's these kittens that need a home, and I said I was interested in one, so I ended up getting one, and I named him Oliver. You guys have seen him before, like my vlogs and stuff. So when we brought him in, he was like little, and we had to keep him in my room for a while, but then we like eventually let him out, and him and Mickey, they got along, but then they would like fight sometimes, or they would just like swat at one another, but they at least could be in like the same room. And recently they have been like fighting like hardcore, like to the point where we can't get them to separate. There's like fur flying everywhere, and like I don't know, it just got really bad. So I've been having to keep Oliver in my room, and I've been getting like barely any sleep because he wants to get out, and it's this whole thing. I feel like that's one of the reasons why I haven't read as many books this month, but I feel like I've read some really good books, so we're going to talk about them. That's my little dilemma of the month. I hope July is a little bit calmer. And yeah. So the first book that I started off the month with was Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. So you are following Emilia. Is that how you say her name? I think it is. And her twin sister. They are witches. And basically something ends up happening to her sister, and she is seeking vengeance, and she comes into contact with one of the wicked. His name is Wrath, and he seems to be like on her side and everything, so he is helping to find out like who killed her sister. And yeah, it just goes from there. I don't know, there were parts of this book where I was just like bored, and I'm like, I really hope this picks up, and it did pick up a little bit, but I ended up giving it 3 stars. I liked the female character. The male character just kind of got on my nerves. I don't know, I hope I liked the second book a little bit better than I liked this one. It is a trilogy, but I only own the first and second book because the third book is only in hardcover right now, I'm pretty sure. But I'm gonna give Kingdom of the Cursed a shot, maybe in July. So yeah, I give this 3 stars. I did enjoy it though. It was just a little bit boring at times, and also a little bit confusing. I don't know. But then I went into Hooked by Emily McIntyre. So this is, I think it's McIntyre. I always feel like I'm pronouncing authors' names wrong. If I am, I'm very sorry. I'm so bad with pronouncing names. Anyways, so this is a dark romance, and it is a Peter Pan retelling, but instead of following the hero, you're following the villain. So it's the villain's love stories. And in the beginning, to be honest with you guys, I was considering DNFing this book. I was just bored and it wasn't piquing my interest. But then I said to myself, I feel like I should at least give books to like the 100-page mark, and if I'm not feeling it then to DNF it. But then as I started reading more and more, I got more into the story, and I actually ended up really enjoying this book. And the female character, Wendy, I loved her character so much. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my phone because sometimes I forget what I rated books initially. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at if you see me looking down. I am excited for the second book. The second book is called Scarred, and it is a Lion King retelling. So I'm really excited for that one. I've heard that's a lot of people's favorite in the series. And then I ended up reading Never Lie on my Kindle, which is in the car. But anyways, I really liked this. I love Frida McFadden's thrillers. For the majority of them that I've read so far, they all have got me. Like, I will sit there and I'll be like, I know what's gonna happen, and then I definitely don't know what's gonna happen. So you're basically following I'm trying to think of their names, Trisha and Ethan, I believe. And they go to look at this house that they're interested in buying, and it is actually owned by this girl, I forget her name. She was a psychiatrist and she ended up dying in the house. So they're kind of creeped out when they get there, but they ended up getting stranded there because there's like this huge snowstorm. And then the female main character, she ends up finding like this secret room of like all of the psychiatrist's like tapes from like all of her patients, and you reveal like a lot of stuff. And this book had me like gasping. I was like not expecting a lot of stuff to happen in this book that did, and it was just so crazy, and it definitely got me. So I gave that book 4 stars. Yeah, I don't know if I said 3.5, 3 stars, and then Never Lie I gave 4 stars. So next I read Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, and this one is definitely my favorite by far so far. So you're following Cade and Willa. So Cade is Rhett's brother. Rhett's the main character in Flawless, which is the first book, and then Willa is Summer's best friend, which is the main character in the first one. So Cade like owns this ranch, and he is a single dad, and he is looking for a babysitter to watch his son for him like while he's at work and stuff. And Summer ends up telling him, I know the perfect person to babysit your son. So she ends up asking her friend Willa, and stuff happens from there. And the banter that Cade and Willa had just had me blushing and kicking my feet. It was such a good read. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think I might up this to 5 stars. I originally gave it 4.5, but I just cannot stop thinking about this book, so I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars instead. Willa is one of my favorite female main characters that I've ever read about. I loved her so much. She was so sassy, and she just wasn't afraid to be herself. She didn't care what anybody thought about her, and I just loved her so much. I'm very excited to read the next book. I need to stop playing with my hair. It's bothering me because I had my hair in braids after I washed it, and it just looks crazy. I've been trying not to do so much heat in the summer, but it's hard because my hair ends up looking crazy. So I'm sorry if I keep touching it. I can't help it. Anyways, I'm excited to read the 3rd book in the series, which is called Powerless. I need to pick up the 3rd and the 4th book because these covers are going away soon. So yeah, I think I'm going to read Powerless in July. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, because Powerless is, I think it's childhood best friends, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm definitely very excited for that one. I loved this so much. Next, I read Long Way Down by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the 9th book, I think, in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. This is following Reich and Daisy. This book put them through the ringer. Like, put them through the ringer. I was sobbing. I was like, can you please give Reich and Daisy a break? I tabbed the crap out of this book. I don't know if you can see that. I was smiling and crying, and this book made me feel so many emotions. If you guys don't already know, Lily and Lo are like my favorite book couple ever, but I honestly feel like Reich and Daisy are a close second. Their love is just so sweet, and they're like such like a, what's the word, like a fun couple. I don't know, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm really sad that I'm almost done with this series. I'm gonna probably read the Bad Rep duet in July maybe, and then Some Kind of Perfect, which is the epilogue novel. I'm gonna read Never, because I don't ever want to say goodbye to these characters. I just love them so much. Okay. So the last 2 books that I read this month was The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then the novella that comes after it, which is 6 Scorched Roses. Oh, I gave this book 5 stars, obviously. Anyways, back to these. So in this book, you are following Oriya, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and she ends up getting taken in by the Vampire King. Something ends up happening like to her family and stuff, and he ends up taking her in, and then she's basically a human living in this vampire world. So she ends up wanting to go into these trials. I think they're called the Kari, something like that. But it's basically like the Hunger Games. It's like a bunch of like these like trials, and then whoever like wins at the end gets like this wish granted from, I forget her name, to be honest. Oh my gosh, I forget her name, but you get a wish granted from this like higher lady. I can't think of her name. And I don't know, it was just such an interesting book, like the fighting, and there was also romance in there, and I really, really loved this book. I cannot wait to read the third book, which is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Rain was everything to me in this book. I loved him so much, and Oriah is just such a badass character. I loved it. And then in 6 Scorched Roses, you're following Lilith and Vale, and basically Lilith's town is like all sick, and she is trying to find a way to heal them before they all die, and she ends up making a deal with this vampire named Vale, and she takes vials of blood from him because she thinks vampire blood is going to heal her people, and it just goes from there. It's very short, but I ate this up. I wish this book was longer because I loved it so much, and I heard that these characters are in The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, so I'm so excited to read the third book. But I really, really enjoyed these books. I feel like I'm missing something about the story, but you just have to read it to find out. It's so, so, so good. I love her writing, Carissa Broadbent's writing. I feel like she gets right into the story, and I don't know. I'm very excited to continue reading her books. I also have her other series. Is it called the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, I think? Or unless that's a completely different author series that I'm talking about. But yeah, those are all of the books that I read in June. So we've got 6 physical and 1 e-book, Kindle read. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a huge thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you aren't already. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see. So I am trying to come up with a July TBR. I might film that in the next couple of days. But I'm not sure what books I want to read this month. Like, it is summer now, so I know that I want to read like a bunch of summer books, but there's also some fantasy books that are on my radar as well, and I kind of want to have a fantasy read summer. But yeah, let me know what your favorite book was that you read in June, and I'll check it out. Yeah, I love you all so much. And I'll see you guys really soon in my next video. Bye, guys.